Welcome, everybody. We'll call to order the regular regional council meeting for April the 27th, 2026. Just take a moment to recognize that this meeting is being held in the traditional territory of our friends, our neighbors, and our Treaty 8 partners of the Fort Nelson First Nation, as well as the Prophet River First Nation. We recognize Treaty 8. We recognize the treaty and the rights within that treaty. We also recognize and celebrate the contributions and enduring presence of the Métis people in our region. Please be advised that tonight's meeting is televised and open to the public to attend virtually. It's being streamed and recorded. Are there any additions to tonight's agenda? Staff?
Yes, Mayor. The email poll that went out to council, the request for special consideration for the facility fee waiver policy.
For the Chamber of Commerce. Yes. We'll put that under new business 10.1. Okay. Are there anything else? No. Council, anything to add? No. Okay, this is an opportunity for the public to comment on any part of tonight's agenda. A few minutes to do that. Is there anybody online who would like to comment on tonight's agenda? Anybody in the gallery? Okay. Adoption of the agenda with that change is in order, please. Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, we have 3 sets of minutes for adoption. The Committee of the Whole meeting from April the 13th, the Regional Council meeting from April the 13th, and the Special Regional Council meeting from April the 13th for adoption. Moved by Councillor Roper. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Andrews. Are there any errors or omissions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of adoption? Are there any opposed? It's carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to business arising from those minutes, which is the NCLGA membership dues update. The Director of Finance is here to talk to us about that question that we had. Ms. Pike, please.
Here we go. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We had a question on the calculation for the NCLGA membership fee that the municipality pays. It is larger than other municipalities that belong to this organization. They did confirm that's a result of the calculation being based on the hospital district assessment, which includes our very large area, as well as population and a base rate for population. They did indicate they recognize that there's an inequity and that at the upcoming AGM, they anticipate the concept of changing the calculation to focus on a base rate and population allocation only would be considered by the membership to even the playing field.
Are they bringing that forward then? Or are they expecting us to do something?
The NCLGA board is considering presenting a potential streamlined membership fee. So it may already show on your agenda, or if not, then we can scramble to make sure we can get it there.
Okay. And one more.
Oh, please.
And so we haven't paid this year's dues yet, have we?
I couldn't tell you that.
Well, if we haven't, let's not.
Okay,
Okay.
we can do that.
We'll see.
Certainly.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I think the discussion we had was about in the budget. I think it was, yeah, we talked about it during the budget discussions. Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you, Ms. Pike. Okay, that brings us to agenda item 7.1, which is a delegation from the Wild Wolves of Canada Motorcycle Charity. Do we have Grainger Thompson online?
Perfect. Yes, you do there, Mayor Fraser. Can you guys see me?
Oh, welcome, Grainger. Thank you very much for asking for this petition. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much there, Mayor and Council, everybody. It's really an honor to be here. I'm just going to share my screen and then we'll go ahead with the presentation.
Did he
Can you
freeze?
guys
Oh,
see the PowerPoint here?
we can see something.
Okay.
Yep, there we go.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Okay, well, like I said, thank you so much for having me. It's a real honor to be here. I'm just going to jump right in. So, my name is Grainger Thompson. I am the co-founder and director of the Wild Wolves of Canada motorcycle charity. So, a little bit of an overview: who are the Wild Wolves? Where is the Beaufort Delta, Northwest Territories, and what is the food sovereignty initiative that we're planning there? Our goals for the summer of 2026 and 2027, Fort Nelson's potential role and the benefits that they stand to gain from supporting us. Request for a letter of support, closing, and questions. So the story. So as a child growing up in southern Alberta, I always had a dream of seeing the north. So when last year I was struggling through a divorce that I was going through and my own alcoholism, and so I decided to make that dream a reality. I needed something to get me back up on my feet. So I bought a motorcycle, and the week after I bought it, I went 5,500 kilometers by myself, licensed freshly in tow from Edmonton all the way up the northern BC loop up to Watson Lake in the Yukon, before carrying back down Highway 37 to Stewart, BC, and to Hyder, Alaska, and then over the course of 10 days, made my way all the way in the loop, and then back through Prince George back to Edmonton. While I was up there in the north, I just witnessed unimaginable beauty, totally unparalleled. I couldn't believe the beauty of what I was seeing and the incredible Indigenous nations and the traditional lifestyle that they were living in these incredible and beautiful places. Unfortunately, right alongside that unparalleled beauty, I also saw extreme food insecurity. I saw $20 for a jug of milk, $15 for a humble loaf of bread, and $13 for 12 eggs. And it really inspired purpose into me to give back to these northern communities that I feel we have so much to gain and learn from. So I returned to Edmonton, and I got really organized. I got hooked up with my good friend Laurentiu Teodorescu, and together we co-founded the Wild Wolves of Canada. So we got federally incorporated on September 19th, 2025, and we're very proud that this is a volunteer-led initiative. We immediately applied for our charitable status after we incorporated, and we're expecting that to come later this summer. This is all about community-driven. So we don't presuppose anything. We allow where communities invite us and welcome us to support. We follow the initiatives that they prioritize, and our whole goal is not to undermine or duplicate any of the things that they already have going on. It's just to support it. So this is really born of lived experience, spending time in the north. And if it's okay, I'd like to share our vision and our mission statements now.
Absolutely.
The Wild Wolves vision statement: a world where every child is fed, every household supported, and every community strengthened through community-led systems of care, resilience, and shared responsibility. Now I'm going to carry on to our mission statement. So the Wild Wolves mission statement: we work alongside remote communities to strengthen food security today while supporting the foundations for lasting community-led systems of care and resilience. So the mission: so there's currently 8 communities across the Beaufort Delta of the Northwest Territories. That's right at the very top of the territory. So those specific communities are Sigitchik, Fort McPherson, Aklavik, Inuvik, Tuktoyaktuk, Paulatuk, Sax Harbor, and Uluhaktuk. There's about 7,000 individuals that live across those 8 communities. Those are predominantly from the Inuvialuit and the Gwich'in nations, both of which hold land claim agreements across those 8 communities. And the current initiatives that are ongoing with the nations themselves meets about 50% of the demand, but the stark reality is that despite the incredible efforts, there's not enough support to ensure that every child is fed, and the results are really staggering. We see children starving every day, kids not being able to attend school because they're hungry and they can't learn, and so we've been in active dialogue with these nations, both the Inuvialuit and the Gwich'in, and the various communities themselves. And they've defined interest and said that they would be interested in our support. So everything is led by them themselves. But the short-term goal is to bring temporary relief through Southern-style food supports, food hampers, and things. And the long-term goal is to actually assist them in building their own food sovereignty systems. So what that looks like is the Arctic greenhouse that you see so lovely displayed there, as well as in the bottom corner there, sea cans turned into meat processing and hide tanning facilities, all of which would be owned, operated, and governed by the communities themselves. We just support finding funding pathways to be able to build these kinds of systems. So our commitment for 2026, our goal is to deliver 11,000 pounds of food. Our plan is to do that in coordination with the Inuvialuit Regional Corporation, as well as the Inuvik Food Bank, to ensure that the food is disseminated appropriately across all 8 communities. We're currently, like I mentioned, we're in active dialogue with the Inuvialuit and the Gwich'in nations, both at the regional level as well as in the individual community levels. We've been in active dialogue with some Indigenous entrepreneurs from across the country, all of which have shown interest and ability and proof of concept from previously developing systems like those sea cans turned into meat processing and high tanning facilities. And we're also running a motorcycle ride to raise awareness. We're going to be riding from Edmonton all the way up to Dawson City in the Yukon. And our goal is to meet with communities like Fort Nelson as we roll through to expand on our relationship and kind of get people more aware of the unparalleled beauty, but also some of the challenging realities that exist in the North. And this is all to kind of build on a larger initiative for 2027, which I'll share with you guys now. So in 2027, this is when it gets really fun. Our goal is to take 100 motorcycle riders from Edmonton all the way up to Tuktoyaktuk on the Arctic Ocean. And with us, we plan on bringing 4 separate trailers, all filled with food supports that we're generating from down here in Edmonton with partners like Second Harvest and Food Banks Canada and a number of local vendors who are actively in support to be able to make that a reality. We'll drop that food off at the Inuvik Food Bank, and our goal is actually to bring a 5th trailer that's empty with a goal of filling it as we ride through all the communities from Edmonton all the way up to Inuvik. The goal is to create a moment of national awareness and exposure to unite the country in support of the North and to really, I think, highlight the beauty of what's going on there and the incredible stewardship of these unbelievable Indigenous nations that call these areas home. So in conjunction with all of that, we're actually working directly with Cabin Radio, who have expressed some interest in potentially documenting the entire ride as a documentary, and we're hoping that to put that on a platform like Netflix or History Channel, something with a large global reach, because we feel like if more people are aware of the beauty, there's an opportunity for more tourism, for increased regional economies, as well as if people are aware of some of the challenges, hopefully they'll be able to garner some more support to give them that hand up to really become fully sovereign and independent as they ought to be. So the destination is Tuktoyaktuk. It'll be 15 days from August 1st, 2027, right through to August 15th when we'll return back to Edmonton. So why Northern Rockies? Well, the Fort Nelson is a very strategic northern community along the Alaska Highway. In 2026, we plan on spending overnight there, likely at the Triple G Hideaway. I previously spent some time there and was just blown away by how amazing it was. I also spent some time at the Pioneer Village and was just in awe of what I had opportunity to learn. And then, so that's for this year. We'll be riding through with a small group. Like I said, more to kind of mark the trail from Edmonton up to Dawson, which is the entire paved section of our ride to Tuktoyaktuk. Once you get to Dawson City, you roll off onto the Dempster Highway, which is a gravel and dirt road for the last 1,000 kilometers. So in 2027, when we come through with 100 riders, our goal is to have, if it's acceptable, would be to have a community engagement parade where we could actually have the whole community on their feet, engaging with the riders, learning about what's going on in the North, and hopefully providing some food and monetary donations, all of which will be going directly to the mission. Like I said, this is an entirely volunteer-led initiative, so nobody in our organization is getting paid. This ensures that every penny of every dollar that's given is going directly back to the community. So the goal is to unify the country. We actually have an enormous network now that's spanning coast to coast, and we've actually even collaborated with a lot of American cousins and people, for example, like the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in South Dakota, and they've all expressed incredible interest in coming on this ride. So we want to create this real and special moment for the Indigenous nations and for all of Northern Canada, which, like I said, is just completely awe-inspiring, but also has some very real challenges that I just don't think get enough documentation. So the benefits for Fort Nelson. So it'll be a chance to, on a national level, highlight the city's efforts to support food security initiatives across Northern Canada. It shows the Fort Nelson support for development of Indigenous nations, and there'll be a massive boost to the local economy by the 100 riders spending the night there, as well as fueling up there, taking in meals there. And hopefully running this community engagement event to be able to kind of bring the whole community together and have this really special moment where families and things can kind of be around the bikes and have conversations about what's going on in the North, and maybe see some pictures of the beauty and just kind of create more documentation and make something that's really special for the community to be able to be a part of. So our request, well, we're looking for a letter of support, and we're looking for recognition of the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality as a 2026 partner, as well as direct collaboration with you good folks for 2027 when we hope to run the parade. And this event, like I said, it's to highlight the very real beauty that the Inuvialuit and Gwich'in nations have in their culture, and to highlight their stewardship, their strength and resiliency, especially in despite of the historical horrors of colonialization that they've suffered under, but also to show some of the very real challenges that exist up there, because I don't think most people are aware of the fact that, for example, in Uluhaktuk, it can be upwards of $40 to $50 for a jug of milk. And that jug will expire in 24 to 48 hours from the day that it hits the shelf. So with that, there's no funding request to this delegation. We're simply looking for a letter of support, and we would love the opportunity to highlight the city, like I said, as champions of Northern food security. So in closing, we see the motorcycle as a symbol of freedom, solidarity, and hope. And we have this unbelievable community that I can personally say 100% saved my life when I was going through a really difficult time. And now I just want to try and save lives from the back of the same motorcycle that saved mine. But my goal is to be an ally, not a savior. So I don't come with presupposed solutions. I don't make leadership decisions. I purely support communities where they invite and welcome us to do so. And the goal is to run this big motorcycle ride to unite all of Canada and hopefully all of North America, to increase overall sovereignty for the Indigenous nations that are living these beautiful lives in these very remote areas. And we feel like Fort Nelson has a real opportunity here to play a very meaningful role. And we would love to hear all about what you think about that and ways that we could try and align ourselves. So thank you very much for taking the time to hear me out, listen to my story, and about this incredible initiative that we're trying to do. And if anybody has any questions, I would certainly welcome them.
Thank you, Grainger, for your presentation. I just want to congratulate you on your own personal journey, and also, I think.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Yeah, congratulate you on the vision that you have. I know that motorcycle charities tend to do pretty good. Around Fort St. John, they've got the Christmas ride for toys, and I know it does really good. Yeah, and we've got some local riders who might be very interested, and so I think I'm certainly prepared to support you. We probably won't make a decision right now, but we'll take it away and talk about it. Who specifically do you need the letter of support to?
So specifically there, Mayor Fraser, I would like it to go to the Wild Wolves of Canada motorcycle charity. So is there anybody that just a general letter of support for the idea and the process then? Correct, okay. There, sir. The two pillars that we stand on are humility and respect. So I think that really falls in line. We're not looking for sort of recognition for ourselves. We're looking for recognition of our organization, with efforts to try and provide support, as I said, where we're welcomed and invited to do so. Great. Okay. Great. Are there any other questions?
Just a comment.
Please, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I would suggest too that you contact the Northern Rockies Tourism and Events Society. They would be a good local partner that could help with logistics, especially around the 2027 100 rider jamboree, I guess, which they would be really good.
Thank you so much for your insights there, Deputy Mayor. I actually already have received letters of support from Mayor Hansen at Fort St. John, as well as Mayor Dober and Council in Dawson Creek. And both of those incredible councils said the same thing. You should engage directly with our tourism sector and find ways to try and on the line to sort of promote the event and make it as big as possible. So I really do appreciate those insights. And that is something that I absolutely plan on doing.
Great. Thank you.
So one of our counselors is the executive director of that organization. She's not here tonight, but we'll certainly put you in touch with her.
Thank you very much, Mayor Fraser.
Any other comments? Okay, well, thank you very much, Grainger, for your presentation, and we'll be getting back to you for sure.
Thank you very much. I hope you all have a wonderful night, and I hope that the rest of your meeting goes smoothly.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add those. So if I can go back to the agenda, I skipped right by after I did with so additions to the agenda. So I would like to add The committee whole report 9, committee whole report 10, and committee the whole report 11 to the regular agenda, and I'll add them as 8A, B, and C. So we'll start off with those when we get to the reports, and so we can get the staff moving along. A motion to adopt the new agenda with the changes, please. Moved by Councillor Sol, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, so that brings us then to committee the whole report 9, which is the Toad River Community Energy Plan for information.
I was hoping you had forgotten about me. Just kidding. So before you is just a for information report. On March the 9th of this year, we received a presentation from Sustainable Projects Group with some highlights and recommendations from the community energy plan that was developed for Toad River. So normally we'll bring the report to council first and do a presentation, but this was a fairly hefty and technical report. So we wanted to provide highlights first and then follow up with just a simple report with the plan as an attachment, as well as the Toad River Community Hall Energy Audit that was done as part of the project. So both of those documents, the Community Energy Plan and the Community Hall Audit for Toad River, are included as attachments to the report for your information.
Okay, so the plan is to bring them both back later for adoption? Is that sort of the plan? Is that what you're hoping, or?
Is that what you're hoping? Because I didn't know if you'd like to adopt them or not, or if it's just, they're just there for information. But I can certainly bring back another report for adoption, or I guess if we're in the regular, you can choose to adopt them if you would
Yeah,
like to
so
do so.
I don't think we put anything in the budget for any of the recommendations this year, did we? So we're just really adopting the plan and the recommendations that go along with that plan.
Mhm.
We read through them last time. Are there any questions then about either of the plans?
I don't know that I would be prepared right now to adopt it. Like, I would be prepared to adopt it for information, like in principle, but not necessarily ready right now to adopt the recommendations.
Okay.
To move those forward
Okay.
without more context.
So then what are you looking for from staff with respect to context then? Just a list of the recommendations that come out of the reports moving forward, or?
Well, if sometimes what happens is, in order to apply for grants, the report needs to be accepted in principle by council.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that's what we were looking for this evening, so that if there are opportunities to move forward on any of the projects listed on page 129 of 268, thank you very much.
That was pretty heavy report and pretty technical.
And a lot of numbers,
Yeah.
but yeah, and anyways.
So
yeah.
sorry, I was
No,
just
go
gonna say,
ahead.
our intent was to bring it for information so that,
Yeah.
so you're aware of it.
Mhm.
I don't think at this point we require formal adoption if council's not comfortable doing so, and our intent would be to bring back individual projects on a case by case for approval by council before we proceeded with anything.
I think there's a request to send it to Hydro though, right? So should we be adopting it before we did that? Probably,
If you'd like to, yes.
yeah.
Adopting it for what?
So that we can send it to Hydro. I
But
mean,
what
if
are we adopting? Are we adopting?
I'm not saying we adopt it tonight, we would accept it as
Information?
well, tonight we don't have to do anything with it tonight. We can really just ask staff to bring it back, you know, as that if you're looking to read it.
I've read it, but
Yeah. So we'd be adopting it and recognizing that we agree with the recommendations that are in it.
oh, I don't know if I agree with all of the recommendations.
Well, then we need to have a discussion about it then before we adopt it, because if there's recommendations in there that we don't agree with, we don't want to send them to Hydro. I don't believe it.
Cool, please.
I'm
Thank you.
curious to see, we just had a delegation a little bit earlier that is on its way to Toad River to visit and talk to them about all the energy options that we have in the province. And I think that this report read through their lens or with them, it would be quite insightful. Like I would like to read it again. I mean, I skimmed it, but I'd like to read it again with the background of the energy option presentation we had earlier. I think it's,
Yes, please.
That could be some time though before we get information coming from that project, right?
no, that's true. I just wonder if we could elicit some feedback from them. Well, like a question that I would have naturally, since they've been working on Northern energy option ideas for a long time, do they have this report? No, that they do have
They
this
do.
report.
Yeah,
Mm.
we
Okay.
provided it to
All right. And how long ago?
a couple of weeks ago, I'd say.
Okay. Yeah.
A week to 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah.
And I mean, I guess the other point too is like, what does the track think about this? Like, has this been accepted by the Toad River community? Like, I don't know whether those questions are answered. I think. Yeah.
So the project began in 2023 and Randy McLean in particular has been involved in the project and helped set up some of the home assessments and those type of things. We've brought the draft plan to them for their review and feedback, and we've met with the consultant with Toad River as well. At which time, particularly Randy McLean had comments around wanting to see more around the LNG piece and some of the detail and information that went into sussing that option out, as well as information on heat pumps. The report was then updated based on that feedback from Toad River, and then the presentation was given to council following that update to the plan. So since then, the final draft of the plan has been provided to Toad River with no additional feedback. It's also been provided to Toad River Lodge along with their energy audit, as well as School District 81 along with their energy audit that we did on the school as well, with no comments received.
As a draft, it was provided to them for feedback? Is that right?
Yeah,
Recognizing that we haven't adopted it yet.
that's right. And it,
So it's provided to them as a draft.
yeah,
Yeah, for feedback.
yeah, like the final draft
Yeah.
that's been,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it was provided to Northern Regional Energy Dialogues has not been adopted by council at this time because we knew that this project was occurring and that they were heading up to Toad River.
So the report comes to us tonight without a recommendation
No,
from staff.
it comes to us as information. They're not us because it was coming to, it was coming to a committee of the whole meeting, right? No decision is made, but now it's here. If we're not ready, then absolutely we can ask staff to bring it back at the next regular meeting for us to adopt it if we like.
What does everybody else think?
So anybody else think? Councillor Anders.
I was comfortable after reading through the report, knowing it was on the committee of the whole, and the last line of it here was the SEP will be provided to BC Hydro for their consideration. I didn't think there was anything on there I'd like to withhold or change. I liked the report as it stood.
Yeah, mainly it's talking about changes to buildings and roof design and ceiling design and that sort of thing. I was pretty comfortable with the recommendations myself, but if you're more comfortable with it coming back at another meeting so that you can look at the information with that in mind that we're going to adopt it or we're going to talk about adopting it, then
No, I think
then
I'm
let's do
okay as long as we're not committing tonight to doing the projects that are laid out in this report.
No,
right? We're
I think
just
what we'd be doing
accepting.
is we'd be recognizing the recommendations, not that each of those recommendations would have to come forward to us as a project. in
Then
the
I would be
future.
comfortable. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So would I.
Okay, so then I guess we'd be looking for a resolution to adopt the I don't have it right in front of me. The Toad River Community Energy Plan. And that future projects coming from that plan will be brought back to council for individual resolution. So moved by myself. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Andrews. Further discussion? Seeing none, we all comfortable with the, okay, all in favor? Opposed? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that moves us to 8B, which is the Tourism Marketing Co-op report. Ms. Vandersteen, please.
Hello again, Mayor and Council. This report comes to you just to provide some additional information about the Northeast BC Tourism Marketing Co-op. We've been working with the communities in Northeast for quite some time now, so just providing a bit of an update as well as the year-end report. So that year-end report covers everything that the co-op's been working on since April of 2025 until March of 2026, because that's the grant year, fiscal year. So if there's any questions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Krista? Okay. Deputy Mayor, please.
Yeah, thanks for the report. So you articulate in the report that the Northern BC Tourism Association has been contracted to do most of the activity generated by the co-op.
Yeah, so we've got a service agreement with their marketing department who have been able to hire somebody to help facilitate. So they look after the Northeast, they help the Northwest co-op as well as a Go North RV co-op. So they're able to work on the social media stuff. They keep all the social media accounts active, do all the commenting or questions, all that sort of stuff.
And this is the organization that we have issue this winter with their procurement
For the
policy and
signage.
procedures. Yeah,
It is the same organization.
you.
Different departments, but same
same
organization.
organization. Okay. And my other question is around, so we contribute $6,000. Our other partners, do they contribute the same amount or is it differing amounts?
It is differing amounts. So far, it's been based off of what communities have been able to contribute. So some contribute significantly more. I would say, I think the lowest is 5,000. Most being between the 5,000 and 7,000. And then one being significantly.
I'm sorry.
Significantly more. So
Okay.
they contribute 12,000 because they're able to.
Okay, and you also indicate, oh, sorry, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. You also indicate in the report that we contribute in-kind support to administer the grant agreement and funds. Is it hard to establish a dollar figure for that in-kind contribution? Like, is it a large contribution of time? And are we managing that whole grant or what does that look like?
So we are the kind of authorization community for the grant. So the grant goes in on our name and we're the contract, we sign the contract.
Okay.
And then we invoice all the communities, collect all those funds, and then we pay quarterly to Northern BC Tourism to reimburse them as needed for the expenses. So it's not an extensive amount of work, especially now that we have them as that additional support. So Northern BC Tourism really handles the majority of the legwork.
Okay, thanks.
So I think this matters, and thank you for the report. We've had some trouble with the Northeast BC Tourism Association in that we've asked them for their procurement practices because, we were concerned with the procurement practice with respect to the signage.
Mm-hmm.
The co-op has hired them now. And, it starts to become difficult to support them, when we're not seeing any action on the requests that we had from Northeast BC. So, I know that we had this discussion during the budget discussion. And, I from my perspective, their funding is in jeopardy. And, if they're to the tune of $16,740 of this total amount, can go to them. And they haven't been very forthcoming in answering our queries about their and that's really all it is. I think we've got past the point where we were looking for anything to come out of the sign procurement. We're just really looking to see that their procurement process in the future is fair. And so maybe what it'll take is a letter from us to them, particularly if we're doing some of their admin work, right? Which adds a bit of a twist to this, because they're relying on us to do that, right? So if we were to pull our funding and not be part of it anymore, now somebody else has got to do that work.
Yeah, so we started doing the grant portion
Yeah.
before Northern BC Tourism was involved. It was
Right.
when it was just the community specifically.
Right.
And I have been in communications with their CAO very recently, so about the sign project and making sure that he's aware of it as well.
Mhm.
The co-op itself, pretty much all the decisions are made at the co-op table. So they're not, they're asking the co-op members for who can buy or who we can reach out to buy local photos. And so it's a bit of a different setup in that way.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
But the bulk of the funds are going to the Northern BC Tourism Association, right? Because they're looking after all of the marketing for the co-op, which is the bulk of the work, as I understand it.
so most of that goes out to the individual projects. So there's a specific administration fee that I think is 15% of the total overall budget that goes directly to Northern BC Tourism.
Does anybody have a problem with us sending another letter to the Northeast BC Tourism Association saying we're still looking for this and we're starting to, we're considering whether we're gonna fund other organizations that are attached to them. It puts a little more pressure, the right word? I mean, we're just looking for the procurement practices
I think
and to
we
make sure that they're fair.
just want answers to our original question, right? I don't know whether I want to add on the part about removing the funding. I really like some of the digital media that has been created. And I think the co-op itself, there's a lot of value in working together with communities, and I'm just hesitant, to,
Drag them into it because they hired the Northeast BC app.
right? And
Oh,
because
yeah.
we have a problem with the contractor, I don't want to blow it all up. Like, I think there's really good work being done there, but I think that all we're looking for is moving forward. We can't go back, but moving forward, we're just asking for a clear and transparent procurement policy. That's what we're looking for. So, and we
Because they
didn't-
don't use BC bid.
They
would-
don't
would
use
make
BC bid, and they didn't answer our last inquiry. So, yeah.
All right. So
Make-
we'll, did somebody else?
It makes me wonder why, if they have not been asked about this before by any other community, like, it's kind of strange that
Well, it
when you
could
got a network of like 8 or 10 communities.
Because we had a business here that
Yes,
said, hey,
but-
did I miss this?
Exactly.
I didn't
yes.
see it
It was, I know,
because it wasn't.
it wasn't advertised. And so I'm just wondering if this has happened before. Because I was trying to get my head into, why don't they just answer a simple question and send us how their procurement policy works? And that's kind of, I can't
All right.
think.
So I'm sensing that we don't want to drag the co-op into this, so then just another letter to the Northeast BC Tourism Association asking again for their.
Yeah, if they could outline their procurement, understanding that they are not using BC but bid moving forward, if we could be supplied with their procurement policy.
Okay,
That works.
you want to put that in a form of a motion?
Yeah, those words in Councillor Souls.
Okay.
Jaylene's on it.
Let me read it back.
Okay,
Please.
That a letter be written to Northern BC Tourism Association requesting that they supply the NRM with their procurement policy.
Can we say a follow-up letter, please?
Yeah, certainly.
and can we CC that to the co-op?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Gerwing. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Souls. Is there any further discussion on that? I didn't give you a chance to say anything, Councillor Roper. I didn't notice if your hand was up.
No, it was not.
Oh, okay. All right, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, that brings us to 8C, which is the Rural Community Immigration Pilot.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Mayor and Council. This report again is for information. It's an update on the Rural Community Immigration Pilot Program. As noted in the report, council agreed to participate in the Peasley Yard Rural Community Immigration Program, which we call RCIP, last April. We completed a successful first year, resulting in 80 recommendations for permanent residents across Northeast BC. Just kicked off the second year of the program, and we've been allocated 60 recommendation slots across Northeast BC for this year. So as in the report, some of the priority sectors and occupations have been updated based on labor market data, historical trends, and partner consultation. Yeah, the employer and candidate intake periods for the second year are now closed, and the selection committee is going to be convening their regular meeting shortly. Happy to answer any questions or try to.
Council have any questions? Thank you, Hillary, for the report. I can follow up with a little more. I took an interview with CBC Radio Wednesday last week. What the heck day is it today? Monday, I guess today. Yeah, I guess it was Wednesday last week. And so I asked a little bit more information about some of our statistics. So we were given 60 last year placements, and then they were given another 20. So it was a total of 80. There are 290-ish employers across the Peace and Liard areas. We have approximately 10% of those, 28 or something like that, 29 registered employers who many of them put in an application each last year, and we were able to get 9 applications approved by the RCIP. So again, about 10% of the 80, a little more than 10% of the 80 that went through. Of course, this program doesn't approve the applications. This program forwards applications that they see to the federal government, Canada, and then Canada goes through their process of determining whether the application warrants citizenship. Those 9 people were already in our community. There were not anybody that were brought in from outside of the community from different countries. They were folks who were living here already. So so I think we did well. I think we probably did as good as we could expect, maybe even a little better population-wise, but certainly business-wise, we were right at about 10% of the businesses in the program, about 10% of the folks that got applications sent through. So that was good. The interview that I gave was really about the extension that the federal government has given to temporary foreign workers. Have been given a year till, I forget what it is, June 2027, which will allow some of those folks who are close to the end of their permit, their temporary permit, will give them an opportunity to try to get some pathway to citizenship in Canada. So they wanted to know what I thought of that. And, it's basically I told them that that I believe that it's a kind of a two-sided coin. One, it's good for those folks who need the extension, but the other is we maybe just kicking the immigration policy program down the trail a year, because really that whole immigration system in Canada needs to be reviewed and looked at. So that's a bit of my update based on that. So thanks, Hillary, for the presentation. Okay. Okay, so that then brings us to 8.1, which is Administrative Report 27, Recreation Sites Transfer Information Process for discussion. Yeah. Ms. Thompson, welcome.
Good evening again. This report is in follow-up to some information that was provided on February 9th at the council meeting in administration report 7/26, in which it was there was some information that indicated that Recreation Sites and Trails BC was interested in potentially transferring a couple of the local recreation or regional recreation sites potentially to the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality. So this report is in follow-up to that conversation. The report includes information regarding the transfer process that would need to be undertaken to actually assume the recreation sites. Recreation Sites and Trails BC has indicated that it would probably make most sense to start looking at Parker Lake and the Demo Forest, given that we already have involvement in those sites. And mentioned that if there was interest, they would also consider the motorized trail loop surrounding Fort Nelson. So the process to transfer is included in the report, as well as some resources that would be needed to actually support the process, which would allow us occupancy of the site. So essentially we'd be starting off with a Crown land tenure. So something like a lease or a license of occupation, which would give Recreation Sites and Trails BC time to deregister the site and allow us immediate occupancy of those sites. We could then, if council so wishes, we could go for long-term occupancy either through a lease or outright fee simple and own the property, similar to how we do for Andy Bailey and Tetsa. The report also provides information around the existing infrastructure that exists at these sites, as well as annual anticipated maintenance costs. And of course, there's all sorts of considerations that are listed in here as well around the existing infrastructure, the age of it, the maintenance, replacement. We'd have to consider things like existing partnerships with existing groups like the ski club and the snowmobile club, as well as council is very familiar with. It's not just assuming a site, it's the ongoing long-term maintenance and the costs associated with those, as well as the liability of having those sites. We recognize the link to the tourism strategy and action plan. So, but at the same time, there are those key considerations that council would need to consider before going down this road. So the intent of the report is really just to gauge council's interest of how far we'd like to continue with this conversation, recognizing that, you know, if there's interest, we'll continue having the conversation with the Tourism Advisory Committee as well. With that, for discussion.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Thoughts, council? Anybody? Councilor Schultz.
I was thinking that when we would get a report like this back, that it would, I was surprised to see the demonstration forest be one of the units. And I can see why they would want to unload it. Just
It's so negative. Maybe there's a lot of you.
I can see why they would want to hand its responsibility over to the municipality. And anyway, it's not because of its operational capacity or capability or ours or theirs, or it's not about operation. It's just that it is very much a conifer forest standing right on the edge of a community in a time when we're dealing with forest fire mitigation and so on. And the liability that is there is a natural liability that would become ours if we embrace that. But the Parker Lake project as a municipal asset, I think it is just a no-brainer. It just makes sense. It's already got lots of usage, lots of interest in it. It's very close. We'd have a lot more options of how we manage that area if it were ours to manage. And so I can see great value in that one.
Anybody else? Councilor End.
In going through the report, Parker Lake made sense to me, whereas the demonstration force didn't make as much sense. Like, it's something there that's already being maintained, maybe not to our standards, but it's not like we're going to see a reduction in the provincial tax base that we contribute if we take it on either, right? It's just now becomes a longevity expense for the municipality, which I guess in a way it already is, but it's not our liability. Whereas we want to expand the tourism, we want campsites, we want to be able to have rec sites, and Parker Lake seems more like the logical one for me to go after if we're going to split hairs or split options here.
Deputy Mayor.
I guess I see it a little bit different. Parker Lake for sure. but we need to, if we do move forward, they still have to keep to their commitment to that dock upgrade and those things. But the community forest, I think there's real potential there in terms of tourism for, to be marketing that.
The demonstration forest.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
The demonstration
yeah,
forest.
thanks. The demonstration forest of the not-for-profit club that currently takes care of all of that. Like, there's a concern as how long are they going to be able to continue to maintain doing that type of work? They've done it for so many years, but as we are all aging, and then what happens? Because I don't think Parks and Rec will be able to maintain that. And the ski usage is phenomenal, right? So I would hate to lose that. And I think that if that volunteer community does diminish, then that would be a real threat to be losing that. So I would be interested in further investigation into both of those. And I'm not sure about how I feel about the motorized trail around town. I'm open to what everybody else thinks on that one.
So I think we should start a public process. I think we should let the community tell us what they think, how much it's used. We've got our own prejudices based on what we individually use, but I think they all have value. I'd like to hear from the community as to which ones or all of them that they might want to take on. So, for me, if we were to direct staff to start a process for those and any others that, if this process is in place and there's the ability for us to start taking these on, because I think that's a change, right? I don't think they were looking to give us anything before that, it was kind of, no, Parker Lake's ours, we'll decide who gets to plow the road, blah, 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 right? And what goes down there. But now I see that they're open to it. Maybe we should start this. And so before my time, but I'm wondering what the process was for the two parks that we have taken on, right? Andy Bailey and I want to say Miniker, but Tetsa. So maybe a similar process. Can somebody kind of give me an outline of what we did there? Or does anybody remember?
We'd have to take a look back
Yeah,
at
so-
the minute to see what happened at the time, because the province were closing the parks at the time. I'm just not sure what kind of communication.
Oh, yeah. So it wasn't quite the same process then.
They were
Oh, yeah,
cutting
okay.
down.
Yeah, okay.
But
The third at that time was the Prophet River wayside part.
Right.
And so that's an example of what happened when the NRM wasn't in a position to assume that one.
Yeah, it just went by the wayside essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's my thought is, we're hearing it. Sounds like there's a bit of change at the provincial level. So let's go to the people and find out, whether they're prepared to take it on. And, okay. Is that something that, is that something you can work into the plan for the planning department? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Anders.
Is that something that the tourism committee could help us with?
I maybe, yeah.
Yeah, we've got that in the report that at council's requests, we can certainly go out to the community for
Yeah.
input around value and use.
For sure. Okay, so resolution then because I know this was just for information, right? So a resolution to request staff to start a public process with respect to the transfer of regional parks and trails to the community. Just want to leave it open.
Yeah. Then they can come to us with other
Yeah.
examples.
Yeah.
Second.
I'll ask if the corporate officer could read it back to us, corporate manager.
That staff start a public process with respect to the transfer of regional parks and trails to the NRM. Do you want to specify recreation sites, rec sites?
Yes.
Okay.
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Andrews. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that's carried. Thank you, and thanks staff for staying. Appreciate it. Okay, so that then brings us to the official community plan bylaw number 242 for adoption. Again, well, we did the reconsideration already.
The plan that never
Yeah. Oh,
keeps going.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and Council. So the report in front of you is seeking Council's consideration for the adoption of the NRRM Official Community Plan, Bylaw number 242, 2025. Previously, this bylaw was adopted in January 12th of 2026. However, this decision was reconsidered on February 9th of 2026 due to the inconsistency with the ongoing zoning amendment, bylaw number 238, 2025, during which council had directed that the decision and the zoning amendment is made prior to the adoption of this official community plan. And now that process has been concluded, which means we are ready to adopt the official community plan. Along with this report, there is also an attachment provided, which is just an administrative correction of one of the maps. Yeah, if council have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
I don't. I think it was pretty straightforward. Thank you. We looked at it. We adopted it once already and went back, but the amendment was pretty straightforward, really just a coloring of the map. So to get it into the right zone. So I'm comfortable with it. What are council's wishes? Council Roper.
I would move the recommendation that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Official Community Plan Bylaw number 242, 2025 be adopted.
Moved by Councilor Roper. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Andrews. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? That passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to 8.3 on the agenda, which is the 5-year financial plan bylaw number 244, 2026. Our finance director, Ms. Pike, thank you. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The 5-year financial plan is a culmination of our budget process. And the report identifies the inflationary factors that we've utilized for the periods 2027 to 2030. And we've also utilized our 5-year capital plan developed through the IDCA process to be able to identify those outlying amounts. And it is here for first, second, and third reading.
Thanks, Tony. Are there any questions for Ms. Pike? What are council's wishes?
I'd like
Councilor Andrew?
I'll motion that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality 5-year financial plan bylaw number 244, 2026 be given first, second, and third readings.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Souls. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? That carries. And I think we need at least one more meeting before we can adopt that. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us then to the tax rates bylaw number 245, 2026. Ms. Pike?
That is correct. Once we've identified our 5-year plan, we go forward and we set tax rates. So what I would like to highlight with all of the changes that we had throughout the financial plan and the 2026 budget is that we're requesting an additional $976,331 over the tax levy for 2025. And once we have approval by the 15th of May, the team will be getting tax bills ready to go out the door.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Pike? Seeing none, council's wishes. Well, Councilor Roper, please.
I'll move the recommendation that the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality Tax Rates Bylaw number 245, 2026 be given first, second, and third readings.
Moved by Councilor Roper. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Andrews. Is there any further discussion on the bylaw? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Welcome. Okay, that takes us to correspondence. There is one item of correspondence for discussion, which is a letter from Chief Harrold. Somebody like to move that, put it on the floor, please. So moved by Councilor Roper. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, this is a letter that we get from Fort Nelson First Nation every year to support their annual celebration. I don't know that it falls within our grants to community groups because they're another community, right? So I think it's okay for us to deal with this, although it doesn't ask for anything. It just looks for general acceptance, right? And I think maybe a responding letter saying that here's what we've done in the past. Is that what you're looking for? Something like that, or
I think that's
Deputy
what
Mayor.
we do every year, right?
yeah,
As we go back and we ask them, and sometimes they take the showmobile and sometimes they take other things, but
Yeah.
I think just opening the door and then we respond back and leave it to staff to
okay.
make it all happen.
So then a letter back to the nation and the chief of the nation, basically asking them, this is what we've done in the past. What are you looking for this year? We're prepared to help and support. Okay.
In
Okay.
kind,
Okay.
right? We're not talking financial
No,
contribution.
we're
Okay.
talking equipment and
Yeah, good.
tents and whatever it takes, whatever equipment we have, we're prepared to offer them. That's what we've done in the past, I think. So would somebody like to make that motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Roper. Do I have a seconder? Councilor Andrews. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces of information or correspondence for information. Move to accept.
I
those
move that they
information.
accept for information.
Moved by Councilor Souls. Do I have a
Second.
seconder? Councilor Roper, all in favor? Opposed? Those are carried. Thank you. Okay, so that brings us to new business, which is the email poll for the Chamber of Commerce request. So I will turn that over to Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Mayor. So we were requested, council, through email poll. The request came from the chamber for the annual trade show to utilize, the staff, the inflatable items for the kids, and whatnot for, the trade show. The estimated cost, if we were providing everything for council, is about $1,400 for the staff time to set the inflatables and monitor the inflatables. And I think that was it on that one. I was trying to go through the numbers here now. Council provided their approval through email, so looking to ratify that approval. Or if council wishes to have more discussion.
Yeah, I think there was an affirmative
Yes.
response to that online, so so we just need a resolution to confirm. Is that what you're looking for? A resolution to confirm the email poll?
Ratify the email.
Right. So the question was that the facility fee waiver policy we waived to the Chamber of Commerce to be provided to kids inflatables, portable staging, sound system at no cost for the 2026 annual trade show. So that was approved online, and now we're looking for that to be thank you. I got tongue tied there a little bit. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gerwing, second by Councilor Andrews, that we ratify that email poll. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, 10.2 is a request for an appointment to the liaison to the South Peace Health Services Society. We've received a formal request now from the South Peace Health Services Society. I had an informal request from their chair, and I asked around a little bit. Mainly what the South Peace Health Services Society looks after is the Bolteri's house in Dawson Creek, right? Which is a house that people can use at a reduced cost if they have medical issues that they need to travel for. So I think many people from here have used that. I had originally asked Deputy Mayor Gerwing if that's something she could take on, and she was awful busy. But I wasn't able to find somebody else. So now that there's a formal request, Deputy Mayor Gerwing, I think, has some ideas or some thoughts with respect to how we might be able to deal with this. So I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Gerwing.
Yeah, for the remainder, I mean, health is my portfolio, so my responsibility for the remainder of my term, I will absolutely take it on. I think they meet once a month. They're asking for a representative from the community, but in addition from council.
Yeah.
So I think we have some ideas for a community representative. Yeah, so yeah, I will take that on for the remainder of my term, and hopefully we can embed that into the work going forward. I think it's a really important service that they are providing there. It's all not for profit. I've spoken to quite a few people that have used it. It's seamless, it's affordable. So yeah, I would be happy to support that.
And I think Deputy Mayor Gerwing will be able to find out, whether it needs to be a member of council going forward, over the next few months that she's able to participate, or whether somebody from the community or both is necessary. So thank you for that. So I'm just looking for a resolution to appoint Deputy Mayor Gerwing as our representative to the South Peace Health Services Society.
I'm happy to move that recommendation.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Roper. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Souls. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. That brings us to standing items, council reports. Does anybody have a council report? Councillor Souls.
I wrote it down, but I probably better wing it because it'll make more sense. There's two council reports. First one from my attendance at Kofi, Council of Forest Industry Convention in Vancouver, sorry. What I saw there was a really good attempt. Lots of effort put into trying to make the forest industry sound like it's still alive. And no, that's a positive twist. Yes. I didn't say anything about it being dead. Right. So anyway, the idea of putting a spin on it being alive and thriving, everyone acknowledged, including the Premier in his closing remarks, that it wasn't thriving. And very interesting. I attended every one of the presentations, the group chats that took place, the representatives from First Nations, representatives from the large forest companies, representatives from some of the value-added industries that are emerging in BC. And without a doubt, there's some very good partnerships between First Nations and startup forest industries. There's some very good ones that are working. There is also, but when you listen to the licensees, the major licensees that are historically part of our forest industry, they were very honest and said that the very likely that we'll see more mills shutting down in the province of BC. And they contrasted it with the fact that the mills are not shutting down in Alberta. And we saw a lot of numbers, and the production numbers of lumber in BC is roughly $100 1,000 more expensive than in Alberta, and it's all policy related, every last penny of it. So there was some commitments by the government, by the NDP forest minister, and by the Premier to begin to address that. I recalled that I attended the one the previous year, and one of the focuses of their attempts to streamline the industry was to speed up the permitting process. And that was really the focus of the 2025 meetings. The 2026 meetings, when that was referenced by all forest companies, whether small or large, that they hadn't made any progress on that as far as the permitting side. There was also quite a bit of angst in that room, very tangible, around DRIPA and UNDRIP and the effect that it's having on the permitting. And so that, of course, that's a larger discussion going on in the province now. And but I found it interesting that it was talked about openly in the COFI context. I think also that there's a great acknowledgement that there's other viewpoints of the forest now starting to show up, and we hear things like there was a number of groups that talked about how there's a shortage of wood in the province or a shortage of accessible wood. But that was actually countered very effectively by 3 other groups that are working on the cataloging and giving numbers on what's actually growing in the forest, especially given the many multiple thousands of hectares of plantations that were started back in the early 90s and that are now coming into the early stages of their thinning and light harvesting potential. And so one of the narratives that I considered to be of great value is that it's pretty obvious that in the world of forest industries, as far as harvesting goes, that the nations or regions on the planet that switched toward an agricultural forestry model, such as Sweden and Finland and New Zealand and Romania and a number of other Central Eastern European countries, Germany too. The agricultural model is being embraced on a world scale by forest industry players because it removes all the layers of chance and of interruption that can come either politically or environmentally and so on. It limits that a great deal. And so there's a beginning, I think it's a very early recognition of the value of tree farming. And just as a local forest person, it's a history in it, trees grow fabulously around here. In fact, one of my conversations at COFI was with a forestry group that do surveys that continually monitoring the growth of trees. And they say that Fort Nelson's the only place in all of their contracts that go all the way from the west coast right through south of Quesnel all the way to the border north of us. They said Fort Nelson has more growth per year on its seedlings than any place, except for the coastal forest, where of course the climate is perfect for that. And the idea of tying together tree farming and forest industry is totally compatible with the language of the province now as it begins to talk about a working forest. That is identifying an area that we're all going to agree on in the province, in our regions, that becomes the forest land. To their credit, the BC government has been moving that idea forward, and I think that that's a very prudent thing. So I come away from it with the recognition that we're watching the old model disappear, and that's true. It's pretty obvious. It's costly and destructive to watch it go. But at the same time, there is effort being put into visioning far enough forward so that there's some hope in the future of having things that work. And to one other thing that I'll just add that came out of the meeting is that there was support given for 2026 to have help in the salvage logging world that we're a part of. And I inquired as to the volumes of salvage logging that's been done in this past year. And the largest single project by far in BC was the logs coming out of our burn here in Fort Nelson. And they consider that to be a really successful start. It was a first year effort and and the scale of it exceeded what the Crown thought would happen. And so kudos to our harvesting in that area. The next meeting that I went to was the Municipal Finance Association or Authority, MFA. They somehow got authority behind in their title, and that always helps. Just ask BC Hydro what it's like. It's great. Anyway, the municipal finance meetings, they always present there's a set of speakers that give geopolitical, economic overviews as they see it. So one from the National Bank and the other from CIBC spoke, and I found it really fascinating to listen to them try to articulate diplomatically in a way that to tell Canadians not to cut off their relationship with their closest market, and at the same time look at where things are moving in the world. And they're speaking about capital moving and where it's going, and they were not shy about talking of how there is a lot of capital fleeing Canada and especially BC because of the uncertainty of tenure and land use ideas and overlapping values and that. So with that as a context, it's always interesting looking at MFA's presentations of their offerings as far as investments, and given the beauty of the MFA having the clientele of municipalities as the ones that borrow from them, and municipalities, of course, are required to have a balanced budget, and therefore they're the best customer to actually ensure that they repay their debts. Their AAA credit is being maintained even in a context of the downgrading of the credit rating of the province. They're not sure that that's sustainable, but it is actually holding still. And the credit agencies were going to do their appraisals this week, so I don't know where that landed yet or if it's done yet. But they were anticipating their AAA credit continuing. MFA expressed their delight that the Northern Rockies are going to start doing some investing with them, which is what we had decided. And with that in mind, I mean, because of that, I was approached. I mean, I was talking with the chair of the MFA and the chief operating official, and just starting to talk about all the options of investment and how there is way more options, more programs to follow than what any of the regional banks will give you, even the main line banks. So in the last thing about the municipal finance that I took away is that you can tell that the success rate of their loaning program is growing and growing, and they're being actually used as a showcase for regional. Their system is now being looked at Canada-wide as a regional financing mechanism that gives municipalities level ground to work with. And I can see why. I think it's a very good organization in that respect. So as far as I think about the internal part of the municipal finance is that they have to have elections every year for their chair and their executive and so on. And the executive chair and directors have not changed in years and years and years. And so normally the meetings take about 10 minutes and the meeting's over. And this time was different because the original chair, Mayor Brody from Burnaby, Langley. Anyway, he has resigned from that. He's timed out, he's aged out, and he's moving on. So it's really interesting how the representation of the regions in the province that are members of municipal finance work. The ones in the higher populated areas, they have a weighted vote in the voting process. So Metro Vancouver, for example, has five members that are members of the member group of the mayors or members that come from different regions within Metro Vancouver. And each one of them, each of their votes is worth 5 votes. So it's little wonder that historically, the chair and the executive of it have always been residents of Metro Vancouver area. That changed.
No.
So it was very interesting, especially the chair of the organization that was elected in. He's from Kelowna, and his vote was worth 2 votes based on the population. And yet you got all these Vancouver votes that are worth 5 votes per unit. And there were enough other people in the whole organization that must have, if you do a little math, they must have almost all voted for the Kelowna representation. And a bunch of the directors that were also elected by ballot, it actually, it went on like for like 2 hours almost, a meeting that's normally 10 minutes long. Anyway, so some of these regional directors now, there's directors from a wider range across the province that are involved, much to the chagrin of Metro Vancouver. But actually, I talked to the new leader of the pack now, the Kelowna representative, afterward, and I asked him if he got the impression that I got, that the broadening out of the executive to a more BC-wide perspective, is that what he thinks was driving that desire? It's not a hate on Metro Vancouver. And he said absolutely, he sees that in the discussions he has and others. So anyway, I enjoyed that meeting very much, and I'm glad that we're connected with them ourselves, and I think that there's a really good future in that banking system for now. Sorry for being so long-winded.
No, that's okay. Two pretty important meetings. That the MFA is they're an excellent municipal resource for investing reserves, but they do have a certain limitation to what they can invest in. That's part of the right. They've got a legislated requirement with respect to, there are some financial vehicles that they're not allowed in real estate, for instance, and that sort of thing. And actually the NDIT moved away from MFA and went to the BC Investment Corporation, which is also run by the government, but it's a different, yeah. So the legislation is not so restrictive, and when we were looking, I mean, there's almost $500 million in the Northern Development Initiative Trust, and so looking for the best possible return, because it's the returns that then are sent out for in the projects. It's not the main capital fund. It's the interest that's gained that gets sent out. So as a group, we were looking for a wider range of financial instruments that we could use. So we actually switched over. That just happened last year, and it seems to be working very good. But MFA is very good, from a municipal perspective, both in your ability to get a loan,
yeah,
and because they pool you all together, right? And they put a bond. Yeah,
they pool you together, and because they're municipal focused, they also will do training within your financial group in your own municipality and all sorts of benefits that come through it. And you triggered a thought there that this year, I believe that last year, the debentures that were voted and approved last year for municipal borrowing was somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million. And this year it was 800 million.
Wow.
So it's growing in its scope and usage and so on.
So I did have a question about your COFI, and it's about the discussion around the farming of trees, essentially, and did anybody talk about the difference? You talked about all those Eastern and Central European. Most of those forests are privately owned, right? So there is somebody who has a vested interest in ensuring that they're farmed. Where we're in Canada, or particularly in BC, it's a crown asset, right? And so are they talking about, you know, how they might deal with that? Is there any discussion? And then the reason I say that is because there's another report, and I just forget the name of it, that's urging the province to make municipalities, or to get municipalities much more involved in the actual forest management. And it would make some sense that the two would link together, right? That the municipalities, either through their community forests or on their own, would have the ability to farm the forests around them. And so I'm just wondering if it's going in that direction at all, or if there was any discussion around that.
There was part of the presentation from the Forest Minister, Ravi Parmar, was to discuss was to show support for and verify that the government is behind more and more decision-making regionally, and especially he was referencing community forests.
Mm-hmm.
And the long-term, he's the only, I got the impression that he was flying alone a bit, and that it's one of the, I don't remember which one of the groups, industry groups, that was talking in one of the presentations, but they indicated that they felt that the Ministry of Forests and the Walrus, the Waterlands Resource, were at odds with each other, because you try to permit through one and you realize that you're violating the principles of the other. And so it's a bit of a question. That question, though, they didn't talk much about forward looking. It's almost like they're trying to spread out the responsibility for making a forest ministry happen, a forest industry happen in the future. And I think that's good, but they didn't offer any money because it's really skinny to come by about now.
And there's already a bunch of private industry that's into, like, what do you do with the ones, if you've got to go from what you were to what you want to be?
Yeah.
There's money involved there.
There's
Big
money involved. Big money.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions for Councillor Sells?
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you taking on the MFA every single year and going to those meetings. And I think I've been the alternate from time to time, and I'm just so grateful that you enjoy them. Thank you.
Do you want the real story, though? It's a meeting that it has a reception the night before. Then the day of the meeting, it has 2 hours of listening to presentations. Then it has the 10-minute meeting, or the 2-hour meeting. Great. Guess how long I was gone from Fort Nelson to accommodate that?
5 or 7 days.
Yeah.
3 days?
No, 5.
5 days?
Yeah,
Wow.
5 with the flights and so on. And then on the way back, thank you, Vancouver Airport. Anyway, do you ever notice when you're flying out of Vancouver that there are 6 security lines that you can go through? There's 6 of those fancy machines that look through your luggage and so on without opening the zipper. Anyway, it's just great, except there was only one working. And so even though
It was 2 hours long.
yeah, well, I don't know. I was only there for an hour and a half, but long enough to miss my plane.
Oh, no.
Yes. Oh, not just me. There was a bunch of other ones. So I ended up flying. I also missed a burial,
Oh,
my
no.
son-in-law's burial, because of that. But anyway, no, Vera took a lovely video for me. Thank you. Anyway, it was really good. It was I was really delighted with how quickly they actually tried to find a ride to get you home. But there's just, how do you make quicker flights happen to far northern communities when there's only one a day or 2 a day? It was still really good.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Grainger, do you have a report? Okay.
So yes, April 20th, I attended the BC Health Coalition Steering Committee meeting, and followed by Council's final 2026 budget meeting. April 21st, I attended the Primary Care Stabilization's 5th meeting. We had such an informative presentation by Mayor Kobashi of Colwood on what a municipal run health clinic looks like. And he very graciously spent over an hour answering all of our questions. And I have just been so pleased with all of our presenters to date who have freely and so enthusiastically given of their time and their resources. It has been really, really good. April 22nd, I attended the last in the healthcare series hosted by the BC Policy Solutions. And this session focused on what lessons BC can learn by following what Oregon has done with their focus on primary care. They are all available, all 5 in the series are available on their website. And I say it every month, but if you haven't checked them out, they're really worth attending. Following that webinar, I attended the CAO interview debrief, and then followed by attending the BC Rural Health Network board meeting. And then on April 25th, I was honored to attend the Fort Nelson Fire Rescue Appreciation Evening. It was a lovely evening, and it really highlighted the supportive family atmosphere that's so evident within that group. And I was really pleased to see how many young locals are involved in the Fort Nelson Fire Rescue Organization and being mentored by such a fine cohort of long-standing members. Like there are some members that have been with us for a very long time. And then the evening culminated in a wonderful tribute to retiring CAO Barry, with the fire chief expressing his gratitude to Mr. Barry for his continuous support to the department throughout the years, and there might have been a tear or two shed. So that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Goering. I'll give, is there anybody else? Yeah, I'll give my report. So on the April 15th, I attended the Northern Hospital Regional Hospital District Spring Joint Meeting, which talks about capital. There was a little bit of operational as well. Maybe the highlight from there is on the capital side is that they've started our hospital review again. There's a committee that 2 of our staff members are sitting on now. They've had their first meeting, I guess, to start that whole process of reviewing the hospital. We're really, I think there's one other hospital in the province, or sorry, in the Northern Health District that's sort of ahead of us with respect to age, but it's such a big facility that they just don't have the funds to enter into a renewal process with that facility. So we were able to jump ahead, and ours has started. So that's good. They are starting to talk more and more about operational issues at this meeting. You know, how they're going to retain doctors and medical professionals, how, you know, which is not something that they've done much of, but every meeting there seems to be as much about that as there is about the capital that's happening around. So, which is good. They're looking for some input. Of course, we don't get to see the agenda, so there's no opportunity to share it with you prior to the meeting. So so that was the spring joint meeting. That day we also dealt with our government transfers policy and finished that up, which allowed us to, you know, go through the budget meeting really quickly on the 20th. Sorry? Is there a hand there? Yeah. Okay. I'll get that later. So then we talked about that. On the 16th, there was the Community Fire Smart Resiliency Committee. Again, you can see the minutes if you want to see what happened there. On the 17th, I had a great meeting with Mayor Kobayashi to help set up the meeting, the Primary Care Stabilization Committee meeting. I spent about an hour with him. He's just a wonderful man to talk to, and he's very proud of the clinic they have in Colwood and the process that he went through, and his willingness to share all of the things that they did at that clinic with other communities who are interested in establishing their own clinics. So, which costs them money, and they're absolutely prepared to just share it with everybody. So, but they want you to be serious about moving down that before you do that. So then I also sat in the Primary Care Stabilization Committee on the 21st, where Mayor Kobayashi talked about his clinic and answered questions, some very good questions from our committee. The 22nd, I had an interview with CBC Daybreak to talk about, I already talked about that already. So then at 9 that day, the Northern Rockies Roundtable meeting, we had it, which was a very good meeting. You know, there are a lot of people there who have a lot of locals who have a lot of insight with respect to the various issues that we have ongoing with respect to what's happening, you know, around us, around the industry, and what's happening with caribou and bison and elk and fires, and so it's good to listen to their input. It's unfortunate that the province doesn't recognize that group and doesn't send much support. They're expecting us to participate in the Northeast stakeholders meeting, which is, you know, peace-based. And I'm just encouraging, because many of our committee members that attend the Northern Rockies Roundtable sit on that one as well. And I'm just encouraging them to take that meeting over. Just talk about our issues, and you know, get the point across that our issues are as important as theirs. And yeah, that's right. So then we also did the debrief on our candidates. I did the Chamber of Commerce meeting on the 23rd. I also attended the Fire Rescue Appreciation Awards dinner. You know, I really would like to see counselors, if you're still here for, you know, if you run and you're in, to attend that and support our firefighters. It's important, I think, that as many of us can attend that if at all possible, to show support for our firefighters. Yeah, so that's my report. Those are all, and that brings me up to today. Okay, there's no business outstanding. Does anybody have a notice of motion for the next meeting? No? Okay. This is the opportunity for the public to ask questions about anything that's on the agenda. I see Ms. Vandersteen, your hand is up. Bev, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. So first, I would like to just express both my personal condolences and those on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Chamber of Commerce, Danny or Councillor Souls, on the loss of your son-in-law. Terrible situation, and it just unfortunately hits everyone extremely difficultly. So please know we are standing there with you. And then on a different note, and I know I sent this message out to Mayor and Council that, you know, I just wanted to comment on Fort Nelson and the community of Fort Nelson and the community of the Northern Rockies all the way up the highway. From the perspective of the visitor center, we hear all the time how appreciative people are, how friendly people are, how this community stands out. And I just recently had someone come in that has moved here, now has to go back to Ontario, but is planning to return, and wanted to make a point of thanking the community, both for the friendliness and the welcome they have received here, but also for the outstanding services that they've received from the municipality and from public works. So I wanted to make sure that was noted. Then moving on to one more thank you. Thank you for the support of the trade show. Having a kids zone, the trade show is so important to the community. It's such a kickoff to the year. And I know everyone really supports being able to, or really supports and is thankful for being able to support a kids zone. And I'm sorry, my attention got distracted because dogs came in the room. And then I also want to mention that we'll add to the Tourism Action Committee conversation the rec sites and trails, so that we can kind of make a recommendation regarding that and just have a little bit more information. And then finally, if I can get the contact information for the Grainger Thompson presentation tonight regarding the wild wolves, that would be fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev. Is there anybody else? Okay. So that brings me to item 14 on the agenda, which is the resolution to move to a closed meeting. that we close the meeting pursuant to section 91C of the community charter to deal with labor relations. Moved by Deputy Mayor Growing, second by Councillor Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll take a couple minutes to move in camera. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. Thank you very much. We are finished with the in-camera session of today's meeting. And so there's nothing to rise and report. So I'm looking for adjournment of the regular meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gerwing, second by Councillor Roper. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.